All right. We are live. This is the Savage Brushstroke. I am Ralph Jean Pierre, aka Precious Gorgeous, and I'm here today with my homie Terrell, aka Brooklish,
Yo,
uh, Brooklyn, Brooklyn MC, Brooklyn rapper. Um, is that the full title? Is there anything I'm missing? Let me know because I don't want to misrepresent
no,
you.
I mean I'm a master of many things. Starting
Dancer
at
also.
yeah, dancer. Graphic designer. You know, visual artist. Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of stuff. Trying to get good at everything. I used to think that you
Mhm.
can't be good at multiple things, but I'm starting to believe that's less and less true. You should be able to just do whatever you feel like doing.
Isn't that wild?
Wherever.
You look at like a Donald Glover in this era, or you look at even I don't know. There's so many people you could look at in this era who are even a Drake or somebody like that who are just like they can be good at so many things.
Yeah, it's okay to be multifaceted. I think people were kind of like straying away from it. Like for me to be like a hard bred quote unquote MC and then still want to dance or something like that. That's pretty much frowned upon in our trade. Or for your type of like lyricism, but then the fact that you do Shakespeare, that's not something that people are really trying to take serious in the industry. So but you should do what you're good at and what makes you happy, what you're
Mm.
passionate about. And that can be a lot of things. I think we kind of take that for granted that you got to be great at one thing. Now, sometimes being great just means you're really, really good at a bunch of different things. That's important.
Yeah, I've heard Robert Downey Jr. call that being a generalist.
Mm,
He would say that he's not that great at anything. He's just pretty good at a bunch of things. He can write. He learned how to write because his dad was a filmmaker and writer and director. Um, he can dance. He can sing. He writes songs. He records. He produces his films with his wife. He does a bunch of different things. And so he says that's really what's helped him propel his career is that he was always a generalist. He got good at a bunch of different things, and the the sum was great. It was greater than the sum of its part. I don't know how that term goes. Greater than this
oh,
whole of the sum
the
is
parts
greater
were
than the.
greater than this. Yeah,
I don't know
but I
what
mean
it's. I don't know.
it's dope. The parts are greater. I gotta look it up now. It's gonna piss me off though. It's greater than the sum
Yeah,
of its
yeah.
parts or something like that. Um, but yeah, but then even in that, you take somebody like a Robert Downey Jr. and he's gonna be remembered probably for being Iron Man, even though he's done so many things. But like all of who he is made him suitable to play that role. So it's like
Yeah.
you know, yeah, I think it's still important to be multifaceted. Some of all of the most interesting people in the world are pretty well rounded, or they're like lunatics with one thing. Like there's
Yeah.
and the people that are in between are super mediocre. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it wild that for Robert Downey Jr., if he would not have been a drug addict, he might not have been Iron Man?
That's what I'm saying. Like that redemption story is part of why he got chose to do it. People they counted him out,
Ooh.
and John Favreau was like, "Nah, man, he could do it." He's Iron Man. Like he because of this,
Yes. Yes.
there's nobody that can embody this. And I think that John Favreau was the only person that saw like the drama in it. It wasn't just a comic book movie for him. It was like, yo, like nah, this
Mm,
man has a drinking issue. Like that's an
hmm
addiction, bro. Like he's suitable to play this. I think he's in a better spot. Let him do it. And
mm.
now you can't picture nobody else as Iron Man. You know what I mean? That's like
No. Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, he was born to play it. So, um, talk to me a bit about what the quarantine has been like for you so far the last few weeks. How have you been coping? How are you dealing with it? Are there good things? There's definitely bad things, but what is what's the experience like?
I mean, it's been rough for like the last week because I've been sick and my grandfather's all right. I take care of my grandparents. My grandmother's been a little bit, she's been really sick actually. I got her tested for COVID on Thursday. Still waiting for the results. Um, because she's showing symptoms. She's sick. It's just a very bad time to be sick with anything else because it's just scary. But I'm trying to be precautionary. But before that, I mean, I was seeing it as like a blessing in disguise. I'm trying to finish this record that I'm working on
Mm.
with my boy. And so it was like, oh man, like, cause we both work in the same spot. So it's like trying to figure out how we can align our schedules. And I'm one of the managers and stuff like that. So I have less, availability. I can't drop shifts and stuff like that. And so we trying to align our schedules. And then all of a sudden it's like, here, now you have all of this time.
Mm.
Do it together. And I'm like, damn. So
Mm.
that first week I was at his house every day. We literally did like 3 new songs. I had a different intro introduction to the album, which is a song that I probably performed for you a while. This is the Harlem Snow. It's one of those songs I always sing a cappella at the beginning of all my sets. Um, but we kind of like reworked it. But then he was like, "Nah, I want to do something else." And then he had gave me this idea for a different record, and then I was like, "Nah, we got to record that right now." So I just rushed over to his crib and we just laid it down. But we was able to knock out 3 or 4 songs, rewrite some other stuff. So it was like this is a great opportunity to really get some stuff going. Then my grandmother started getting sick. Then I got sick. Then it was more people
Mm.
started getting sick. And then over after a while, it was like, nah, this is shutting down. This is also shutting down. I'm like, all right, this is starting to get serious. And he has asthma, so it's like I'm not trying to affect him by going in and out the house. So when I thought my grandmother might be sick, I was like, well, let's stay put for a second. Let me get all my ducks in a row, make sure it's good. I got to get myself healthy because if I'm not healthy, then nobody in the house is gonna be good. So that was kind of a rough part of the week, but feeling a lot better. Today is the first day that I'm okay for the most part. I was asleep most of the day. I ain't gonna hold you because I haven't really gotten much sleep. So I woke up. Shout out to my daughter's mother. She brought some stuff because she knew my grandmother needed some stuff and she been out and about, so she brought some like water and stuff like that. So that was good. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is a tough time for everybody. Like I know my cousin has COVID. I just found out. Um,
Mm.
yeah, like another friend of the family, he has pneumonia right now. They testing him, trying to see if they get
Mm.
the test back. But they they sent him back and forth from the hospital like 4 times before they even tested him. And like, if it wasn't for the fact that his daughter was a cop, like no, like stop sending him home. Like test this man. Like it would have been, he probably would have been home right now. Like so, it's a real serious thing, man. This is crazy outside. Like people don't take it serious. I try to get some fresh air. I see people outside still just huddled up, 4 or 5 people together. I'm like,
Mm.
fam, like I'm sitting in the house with somebody that could possibly be sick, and y'all just thinking it's a game. Like, if for nothing else, if you don't take it serious, if you want life to go back to normal, at least try. You know what I mean? Like, the longer we try to deny it, the we gonna be in this dream for 6 months, messing with people who don't really
Yeah.
take it serious.
I
So
don't wonder what
it's
that is
frustrating.
about. I don't know if it's probably the president because it comes from the top down. Like just on pure practical level, like if Obama was president, he would have been set the tone. Like, serious, let's make sure we get out of this as quickly as possible. And and this dude is in the White House. He's like, it's fine.
He's like,
Drink
nah. He's
some
like,
ginger ale.
it's a pretty big deal. We're gonna put it back together. We're gonna be open on
That's a great impression.
Easter. Easter is a great day. It's an amazing day. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, you wanna put some church?
Wow,
What are you saying, bro? That is the
that's
worst
a
place to be.
terrific impression.
That's a lot. I'm doing an impression of other people's impression because he's so impressionable. That's literally all it is. It's
Yeah.
just like, but the fact that he's like, we're just gonna open back up. I'm like, that's not how disease works. Last time I checked, bro. Like, so I think us trying to open up on Easter is literally. I mean, if Jesus was to come back on any day, that if we all gonna be sick, might as well. That'd be the day to come back.
He's gonna come back with his house shoes and be like, oh, man, you come out the house with
Like
it.
why y'all in the crib? Like I told y'all 6 feet away. I gave y'all CDC. Like
She's gonna come back in golden clothes. Like, come on, man, get in the house, man. Uh, yeah.
that's funny.
So I would love to. Yeah, I have 2 parts of this.
Oh
do.
wait, but
But
nah, yeah,
I
the shorts that you and lady have been doing are fucking hilarious. I want you to know that those shits are funny as hell. Jesus Christ, like you and her trying to open the door for the bathroom. I laughed at that for about a half an hour. I ain't gonna hold you because you was
oh, that was her
this
idea. Yeah.
that shit was funny. That was really good, man. Y'all got to keep that up. That shit is really funny.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we're having all that's been like the highlight of the stay. I think I was making some sketches maybe 2 years ago, and like but then like we started having some ideas to do sketches while we were home, and I was like, let's just go for it. Let's just keep making them and have them. So thank you so much because we're really yeah like that thing yeah they're I don't want to say they're hard to make because they're basically like if we find an idea funny we just try to make it, but yeah we're really working hard to try to make them something that enjoyable for people and try to make this time a little bit easier
Yeah,
and you know
it's
thank you so
appreciated for
much.
sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell Anya that she'll appreciate hearing that. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about the two pieces that you've chosen as inspirations to give any further context that people might need. We've known each other what like 5-6 years throughout
It might
the
be
from
longer than that.
yeah through the BK wildlife kind of
Yeah,
New York underground, Brooklyn underground hip hop scene. And yeah, I've seen quite a few of your projects, and you're getting ready to put out another project. Um, and you have stuff on streaming now that people could listen to and check out and
yeah.
videos.
I have a. My album is up on my website, brooklishmusic.com. An older one, Midnight in Brooklyn. Is probably one of my favorite projects, and I got another New Cinema 2 that's on all streaming platforms. Um, and those projects I'm really proud of, but the stuff that I'm doing right now is crazy. It's
Mm,
nuts.
mm,
I'm really proud of it,
yeah,
so
I'm
I'm
super
excited for
excited.
it.
Yeah, hear it. So what are these? This first piece. Let's start with the piece that's by like the famous artist. What is this piece that uh, you want to talk about today?
Oh, City of God. Oh, okay. So that's um that's one of these movies that I'm a cinephile. Like I love film. I love actors. I think that uh they allow us to see like a strong window into who we are. A
Mm,
lot of people say that we're watching the same stories over and over again, and I think that it's kind of essential to human nature to kind of rework things with the time. Like I'm not mad at Disney remaking all of these movies as long as they give a new context to them. If it's a shot for shot remake, it's not really as important because you're just giving me the same thing that I had. That's why I think, like Mulan might be interesting because you
mm,
give me a period piece, but you're doing something different with it that allows people to see that. So I think movies and cinema are some of the most important staples of American culture just in general. Um, and so, like, City of God is probably one of my favorite movies that I've watched at least times. That's the crazy thing about it. I've like all of my favorite movies I've probably seen at least 10 times a piece. City of God, I think I've
mm.
only sat through it 4 or 5 times. Um, but the reason that movie is so impactful to me is because it was the first time that I was able to realize that
You
I
froze
had to
up on me. I don't
dig.
know if that's me or you.
Can you hear me now? Might be me.
Hold on. Oh, I
Hello.
lost you for a second. Yeah, yeah. You're back. So yeah, just the reason it's so impactful.
Oh, the reason it's so I didn't even get to it, so that's good. So the reason that it's so impactful is because it was the first movie that I had to dig to get something out of because I was young when it came out. I don't remember when it came out.
I think it's like
Damn, I had
2005 or something like that.
yeah,
Before,
it was a while ago. It was at least like 10, 12 years ago that it came
maybe
out.
two, maybe
Um,
two. Yeah.
yeah, at least it's an older movie, but I remember I was watching cable, and typically how I see a lot of movies when I was growing up, when cable before streaming was a huge thing, was you would see a movie in the TV preview list, and it would have stars next to it. And you'd see everything was really like 2 stars, 3 stars, and this is one of the few movies that have 4 stars. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like I don't think I've ever seen a movie hit 4 stars out of all of. I mean, I have to watch this movie. But the thing about it was they would only play it at 2 a.m. It was really like no matter what. I tried to find this movie every single time, and it only came on at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So every time I tried to watch it, it's a foreign film. It's about these kids from Brazil, and so the first the first 12 minutes are engaging, but if you got to read along, you got subtitles. It's late, and so it's like, all right, this is cool. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, but the first 12 minutes are okay, just like directed fine, it's cool, whatever, like that. But the 13th minute, literally the 13th minute, the movie is incredible, and it never lets up from there.
Mm.
But it kept coming on at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was always tired, and I was trying to read the subtitles. It was late, and it was just okay from what I was seeing. I'm like, and I fell asleep 11 minutes into the movie every single time, and I had to
Wow.
watch it. I had to watch it 6 times. So now I'm going by somebody else's word because it's 4 stars. I'm like, they telling me this movie is good, and I'm like, I mean, I'm not seeing it. Whatever, like this is
Woo.
and so I'm like, so the sixth time I'm like, all right, I have to watch this movie because it's saying that it's good. Like I can't if I this pushed me into my love of movies, not just like because for a long time I think Coming to America is my favorite movie, which is
Oh,
still fantastic. Like
utterly watchable. So
yeah,
great.
comedic genius from the first 30 seconds you want to watch this movie. But
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, cool. And I sit up and I remember I sat up and I got like a iced tea or something like that. And I sat up and I'm like, I know exactly when I'm gonna fall asleep. It's the scene where these kids is playing soccer, and I couldn't make it past that scene. And then I'm like, all right, cool. I know this is about to happen. Let me just sit up. I sat up. Literally, I pushed through 2 more minutes, and then something happens in a hotel, and I was like, what the? Oh my god! Yo, and it never let up from there. And I was like, this is incredible. It's captivating. It's well directed. It's well acted. I think a lot of the kids in the movie were actually like just local kids from Brazil. And if you never heard of the movie, essentially it's about these kids in Rio, and pretty much like this immense feud breaks out amongst the entire city of Rio over like drugs and violence, but it starts on at a really really base human level, and then it escalates to a war between two men.
Mm.
Um, and but the reasoning behind it is like very like human. It's not like on some feud. It almost comes down. I don't want to ruin it for people if they haven't seen it, but it almost comes down to attraction in a sense. And how people's perception of themselves kind of like um, dictate the value of their own lives, um, and what it means to be good or evil. But it was and to this day, I remember that first time that I sat up, and by the time it was like 2 or 3 hours. By the time I finished, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I want to watch that movie again, like right now. But I had, of course,
Mm.
it wasn't on streaming and nothing like that, so I had to wait. And then by the time I finally sat down and watched it, they stopped playing it. So it was like,
Wow.
so I could only see it that one time. Then I had to wait till I got to college, and I saw it on a Blu-ray or DVD, and I actually got to buy it. But
Mm.
I was like, yo, but it was one of those movies where it was like, and then I kind of equated it to like a lot of music where it's like there's so much stuff that you think that like, you know, on a surface level, if it's not immediately accessible to you, you think it's not for you. But if you sometimes it requires a little bit of work to get the richest parts of it. And you'll get
Mm.
that life changing art, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, wow. So it made my palette a little bit more diversified in terms of like how much I give to something before I say I dislike it. And I've actually been able to sit through a lot more media in general because of that movie. Because I was able to be like, I'll finish it before I tell you I don't like it. Something has to be like literally utterly unbearable for me to be like, I'm turning the shit off. Like maybe I'm not gonna watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians for more than 5 minutes before I tell you like I don't want to watch this. Um, but like I can listen to an entire song. Like I can give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Like this might be not all right for the first 30 seconds, but it might get crazy. And so that's the kind of the lens I use for a lot of things that I consume. Especially if somebody tells
How
me it
is
might
that?
be good.
How is okay? Okay. Yeah, I totally understand. Of like, sometimes some doesn't hit you right away. Sometimes it takes a while. There's a movie I saw once. It's not one of my favorite movies, but I did end up. There was a movie I watched, a Woody Allen movie in Central Park like 2 weeks ago. But there's a Woody Allen movie called Manhattan, and
Oh, that's a
I
great
mean, I
movie
know,
though.
yeah, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it the whole 2 hours I was watching until the very last shot, and I was watching it like I don't like this whole time I was like, what is this? And the very last shot of the movie, I think it's a close up on his face or on Mariel Hemingway's. It's a close up on somebody's face, and I was like, oh, I get it. At the very last shot,
That's
you know what I
crazy.
mean? So, and at the end of that, I was like, everything else makes sense now. And so, yeah, sometimes it is that much. How do you think that has affected your music? That film affected uh, your music and or the making art, if at all.
I mean, it did have a significant effect. 'Cause I literally think on New Cinema One, the first song on that album is called City of God. Like I literally sampled one of the songs in the movie and made it into a record. Um, but I think that everything that I did after that, I was trying to do something cinematic. Like I couldn't make art for the sake of just like I want to make this little tiny thing. And like even when I'm writing verses, there has to be some sort of like overarching conceptual, like it kind of it kind of almost stifled me in a way. Because it made me feel like I can't make things that are unimportant. I felt like everything I had to make gotta last the test of time and it gotta be super like important. So like my first mixtape that I dropped was called Commercial Interruption. And even though that was kind of like just jacking for beats. I still kind of to have an overall theme. But then the next project after that, I was like new cinema. Like I literally was trying to make movies with my music. Like I was like, I gotta have a theme. And so for that one, I said, let me not get too broad. So I made each song based on a character from a movie that I liked. So the first one was called Benny, City of God, because he's one of the main characters.
Mm,
And I still kind of do that from time to time. But the next project that I did after that, Midnight in Brooklyn, which is based on a Woody Allen movie, Midnight in Paris. Um, and
mm,
so uh, that was one of those ones where it was just like I wanted to make this old sounding thing for the sake of it sounding old because we always have this argument of like oh, we not in the golden age of hip hop, or they don't make really good music anymore. And I was like, and I was one of those super like elitist, like nah, these new, and I was like, this is crazy, this is dumb. So I told myself I would never make rap music like this again. So I'm gonna put it in this album, and that's it. I don't like, and since then I've never really had the like that boom bap stuff is in me, like that's how I rap, just because of my voice, whatever, like that. But in terms of like trying to make this like married to the soul sample, 96 BPM, I got divorced from that in that record because the
mm,
movie itself was about this guy who's fixated on a previous time period and he falls in love with a woman from that time period only to discover that she hates that time period. And
mm,
it's like no matter where you are, this idea of like nostalgia or like this retroactive, retrospective that people have. Yeah, the past was so much better. No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. Like we picked the best parts. It's like social media. You highlight all of the stuff from it and it makes it dope. But that's no, you like were you there when the AIDS epidemic hit? Like, yeah, like shit was bad. And crack was crazy.
mm,
Like 90s, everything had there and again, we're in a pandemic right now. We've never seen something like this. But motherfuckers that had the Spanish flu, or to experience the Black Plague, I think they beg to differ. I think they would say life is pretty hard
mm,
at some points.
mm,
And so we have all of these ideas. So, but I wanted to make a project that was like that, but it was married to a movie because literally of City of God and how I internalized that film. And
huh,
so my next project after that, New Cinema 2, the same thing. So I went from making songs about movie characters, tried to embody a movie, tried to copy a film and make it my own, And then the very next project after that, I tried to make my own movie. So New Cinema 2 became a story of me meeting the girl of my dreams and then sleeping with her friend as a accident and how that unfolds. And I tried to tell a story. I think that the grand scheme of things, I think I came across telling a story effectively if you look at it lyrically and stuff like that. But I think the music suffered because I was so married to trying to tell a story. I think because I
Wow.
didn't have all of the resources at my disposal that I wanted. I think that I was trying to get the point across so hard that I kind of like I didn't write to the best of my ability songs that could stand the test time. Like I don't go back to that album often. Um, because I don't like and shout out to my producer Aquarius, like he murdered all like musically the joint was there, but myself, the way I was writing, stuff like that, where I was writing from, everything had to come back to the idea. It didn't come back to the feeling of what I was trying to convey. I think
Mm,
you can convey a lot in emotion, especially with music. You gotta let the music tell a story. But I was trying to be so literal and get the story across that I think I kind of failed in some place. But I still love that album. I think we did an incredible job, especially you know what I'm saying one producer did everything. I wrote every single word on the album. I wrote, and that's a hard thing for anybody to do. And I think that there are some really really strong songs. Um, and like I still love that project in terms of like, but I think in retrospect, especially with the stuff that I'm working on now, like I'm working on a project where I'm not married to the idea of like there's a mood for it for sure, but I try to encapsulate the mood for each song differently. So I wasn't trying to make an overall movie. I just tried to set a scene from
mm.
whatever movie was in each song. But I had to go through that bell curve of stuff to get to that. But now where I'm at now, I feel like I'm making the best music I've ever made because I'm making you feel like I don't care what movie you're watching. This could like if I threw this in one of your favorite movies, there might be a scene for that this song could fit because I created a moment in the record. Um,
That's
with
so
the
interesting. How
with the
did
music
that?
throwing me stuff like that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
How did that? When was the turn? What do you think it was that made you refine that approach to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna try to make each song it can be, or the,
Well, two
or make each song try to encapsulate one thing instead of trying to. I guess you would maybe is tell me if this is inappropriate or appropriate. Trying to force a whole album to live up to this grand idea you have.
Yep. Two things. One, like I said, I don't go back to my previous album too often, but there are like sometimes I get to try to listen to myself and try to see how much I've grown because I've grown a lot, even in a small amount of time. But I went back to Midland and Brooklyn not too long ago, maybe like I said, like 18 months ago around this time. And I was like, this is really good. Like this is a really good piece of art that I've created. But it was that like I was writing from a different place. And so it was like I had an idea for a movie, but the idea wasn't mine. And so it was like, okay, so if I take the idea and make it separate from myself, but I created these feelings and I encapsulated the idea in each record. So I was like, okay, cool. I think I missed the mark the second time I did it because I did it effectively right before it. So then, but I couldn't really articulate it at the time. And then what happened was when I started working with the producer I'm working with now, um, it became a collaborative effort
Shout him out.
because
Shout
oh
whoever
yeah,
they are.
my boy Bobby Dubs, just Bobby, he's a acclaimed, DJ and he's engineered for everybody from Puff to freaking J Electronica and like I don't understand why he's not more like acclaimed, but everything happens for a reason, everything in time. And I'm super grateful that I know him and I met him. We're probably gonna do a live sometime in the next couple of days talking about the record. But like he started to kind of like he sent me one. It's so funny because he sent me one record and I was like, this is dope. And I'm like, all right, cool. Started writing to this. That's the very first record that he sent me. And then another dude that I used to work with, and he quit and he moved. Um, he sent me like three or four records, and then by the time I started listening to those, I did two or three records with Justin. Um, and the first record he sent me, we didn't even record. That was like we recorded a whole different song. And so we started to create this kind of like feeling. And then my other boy sent me some separate records, just independent. He was like, yo, I think this sound good for you. And I was like, oh, this is crazy, because they felt the same. They had their own feel for each record, but they had the same mood. And I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of serendipitous. Maybe we're not making one or two records. Maybe we're doing like a project. That's okay. We could try that. So we kept working at it. And then, but I still wasn't married to the idea of like what this album is gonna be. I still didn't let it loom over my head. It didn't have to be conceptual. Um, and then I let the I let the I let the songs start to write themselves, and just will make a beat. I'll record it, and then I had this super like spiritual moment when I was in the car with my daughter at a Chick-fil-A,
Ah,
and then the idea for the record just came for me.
that's what
But
they want you
it,
to think at Chick Fil
yeah,
A.
it was a message from the
God
chicken
visited you at
sandwich
Chick Fil A.
guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but the idea for the record came to me, but it wasn't. Again, it wasn't like this. It was like Midnight in Brooklyn, but it was for a movie I hadn't seen yet.
Mm,
So it was like I had the same exact feeling of like I want to create this idea of what this thing will represent. So this is what I'm reaching for, but I don't care how I get there as long as I kind of get all of the feelings across. I'm not trying to.
okay.
There's no point A and point Z. I don't. There's no start and
Mm,
finish. There's just like I will keep working until we think it's done. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
And so it started to snowball out of there. And because we were able to keep making records, it kept tying back to a theme, but not a script. And so we were able to go super big with some records, um, like super subtle with some. I've probably written some of the best stuff that I've just in terms of like simplicity,
You're
but
freezing
also
on
in
me. You're
turn.
freezing on me. You might
I'm back again.
repeat what you just said. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. So like in terms of like simplicity, but musicality, um, they're growing and they're embellishing. But the thing that like kind of pushed me over the edge was that like Justin kind of he kind of wait, hold on. Yep. Oh sorry, wait, hold on, give me 2 seconds. I got you right now. Hold on.
Yep. Yep.
What happened, grandma? Hmm?
See if I can. Just gonna mute him. So again, this is the Savage Brushstroke, and we're talking to artists just about their influences and how their influences influence them. That's the point of the show. Right now, we're talking to Brooklish, Brooklyn, um, and I have other episodes. I got 5 other episodes on. You can find on my Facebook. Oh yes, all right.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
bad.
there you go.
Sorry. Um,
Oh, no
but
worries at
yes.
all.
So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I work with Justin, and he hit me up with this one beat, and I was like, oh man, it's about to be crazy. And I wrote a song to it, and I was like, yo, this is the hardest thing I ever wrote in my life. Best bars I ever wrote, ever. Nobody's telling me this is the craziest. It's deep. It's prolific. It's like, you know what I'm saying? They gonna feel this one. And I sent it to him, and he was like, that's cool. I don't feel it though. And I was like, what? What you talking about, bro? Like you now he was like, nah, I'm not doubting that you can rap. You're a great rapper. So I'm working with you. But in terms of this music, how this song sounds, what you're saying, I do not feel. So I don't care. Make me care about this record. And I was like, oh, and no one's ever like given me that criticism before. And then I just had an immediate trust for this man. I was like, dang, that's crazy. You like you made me reevaluate it for it, and said ever since then that was like the whatever shift that was happening, that was the thing that pushed me over the edge, where it's just like,
Mm,
oh man, like sometimes you can, if the music calls to be prolific, do that. There's still got to be a way to do it that's accessible.
mm,
um Unless your thing is being, super complicated, that's okay, but that's never been my thing. I stopped trying to prove that I can rap in that moment. Like I was over it kind of, but in that moment I literally stopped trying to prove that I can rap.
Mm, mm.
And so I think I have some of the most simple raps on some of these songs, but they're some of the best ones I've ever written. Like,
Isn't that ironic how that happens? The
it's
moment, because
crazy.
I struggle with that myself. Like even in this era right now of like Griselda, Boldy James, I know, these like Royce the 5'9", blah blah, where sort of that lyrical thing is coming back, and my homie is who our homies are, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you even know where I'm getting this from because nobody's saying anything to me, but I'm like, Precious Gorgeous can rap, and I start doing this thing, and I'm like, this is not where and clown.
It's not where you are.
I do clown, and I teach clown, and like a big part of that is like identifying when you're having fun. So it's something that I'm very in touch with. Like, is this the most fun I could be having right now? And usually when I'm trying to do that thing, it's not. So I have to stop myself a lot of times and go, do the fun version of this. To get away from this, you are not Boldy James. Whoever it is that you think you are right now, you are Precious Gorgeous, you are Ralph. Be that guy. So and then once I let go of that pressure to be this ill lyricist to try to out rap Merce the Big Body Benz, you know what I mean?
Not happening. It's not happening.
Not
Don't do
happening.
that.
You know what I mean? The second I let go of that, then all of a sudden I sound like myself, and I'm saying things about not because they're so clever, but because they're me. And I know no matter how good or dope they are, only I will say this. I'm the only one who's going to say this,
And when you
So
find your voice, like it's super important that people don't realize that with your voice comes a certain inflection on certain things as well. I think like you get into a lot of super debates on Facebook because people can't hear your curiosity, right? People don't hear the sincerity in your inquisition. They just think that he just talking for. They see a lot of words and they automatically go into Facebook argue mode where it's just like, nah, like Ralph if you spoke to Ralph in person, you could hear the inflection in his inquisition. You know where it's coming from. There's a general curiosity to improve life. So it's coming from a place. People can't hear people's intents. And I think that intention gets lost in music when you try to only be the best. It's okay to try to be great. But I think that like if I'm sitting here, like Merce is a perfect example, son. If I'm sitting here trying to out rap Merce, well, I'm doing myself a disservice because
yeah.
she's probably one of the best rappers I've heard. If I'm trying to out rap Crimdella, I'm not. It's not. I'm not. If I'm trying to, Mandela Eskia, like it's not. Well, I'm doing myself a disservice. Now, if we get on the record together and it calls for that, I'm gonna rap as hard as I possibly can, and I'm gonna try to bar y'all up. But for the most part, if I'm trying to make a song, if we're trying to make music, then it's different. You feel me? Like, because if you take a perfect example, like Band from TV, they were trying to bar each other up. But if you go someplace like Big Pimpin', they wasn't trying to out rap each other. They were creating a mood. They all pimps and they all on a track together. There's a certain ambiance they're trying to create with that. That's that the ambiance is pimping. You feel me? So it's like if the zone calls for that, yes, then you step up and you exhibit elite lyricism.
And even to go even further than that, it's like, is anybody calling Pimp C a lyricist? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I doubt it. But I do know if you talk about Big Pimpin', all right, smoking, I throw it up, keep a leader in my cup.
Biggest woman on the record.
You know what I mean? Exactly. And it's like, that's just because only he would do that verse. That's a verse that no man alive would come up with. That is who he is. His DNA is all in that verse. And like, to me, that's become, I have to remind myself constantly that to me, that is what, when that person is the only person, to me, one of my great top MCs, and we're going to talk about another one of them, but to me, I always say this actually, it's two MCs that Precious Gorgeous is trying to be. I'm trying to be a combination of or polarity of these two MCs. I'm trying to be Common and ODB.
That's a crazy marriage.
You know what I mean? And like, to me, ODB is a guy, when you listen to him, is like, there will never be another man alive who is that.
No,
and so Yeah, I totally said that. Let's move on to the piece from a peer that you wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah. So I think that uh Mandela is probably one of the best rappers I know personally. Like, but
Same,
if I didn't
same.
know him, if I just heard his music on the street, it hits me the same.
Mm.
I actually get more upset because I know him, and I'm just like, yo, why am I not? Why don't more people speak this man's name? Because
Mm.
he's that nice balance of being clever, but also being accessible. The way he's able to string words and have levity with his lyricism, but
Oh,
also still poignant. It's dope.
yeah. So now you're
And when
talking
I
about
heard,
Mandela Eskia of
yeah,
Black
yeah,
Eyed
yeah,
Pantheon, who he's got at least two records on streaming right now. Bury Me and Gold Volume 1 and 2.
and two, yeah. But when I heard Bury Me and Gold Volume One, and it was this very specific moment, but when I was at his album release party,
Mm.
and he performed the record before he let us hear it, so it was
Mm.
different. So, and it's always interesting when you know a song is powerful when somebody performs it and you're like, oh man, this is incredible. Then you go listen to it and you have a completely different experience that's the same. I don't know if that makes
Wow.
sense,
Wow.
but it's like it reinforces, but it's like a different sonic thing. Because when you're doing it live, there's different inflections that you can put on it that you didn't record, and so you emphasize different things because you kind of almost you know it innately, but no one's ever heard the record before. Literally no one
Mm.
except for him in Minecraft. And so when he was doing On Me and the beat came on and I do not know you'll be in, I was like, this flow is crazy. All right. But then he just started rapping and I was like, fam, this record is what is happening? This is fire, bro.
Mm. Mm.
Um And so, I just couldn't wait to actually like listen to the whole joint. And then when him and Soul Rebel did Now or Never, and he talked about his homie who passed away, like I was just like, yo, this is a really really dope record. And then the longer I sat with it, the more I realized that it was like a record about reincarnation. And like it had all of these deeper themes and deeper things that I didn't hear on a surface level, but that's what's dope art when I can listen to it right now and I'll pick up something new that I didn't hear the first time. Or if I'm in a
Mm.
different space, it'll affect me differently. And I think that that's the
Mm.
best type of art that you can make. So from like a personal standpoint, like if I didn't know him and I heard that record, I would have probably had the same reaction. And so and then I always associate. It's funny because I always associate Now or Never with you, because I was in a really dark time in my life, and I feel like I always hear that same line. Uh, I say later, but later never came. He fell off a roof. I just smoking in the rain, and
Mm.
I was like, life is really really short, and I was in a really dark path, and you just happened to call me one day.
Mm.
I don't know for no apparent reason other than to be like, yo, what's up, bro? You was on my mind. I wanted to talk to you about something. And we just had a random conversation. We probably ended up talking about Common, or so I don't remember what we talked about.
Mhm.
But you kept me from doing something that would have been dumb. And like that's a
Oh.
super impactful moment. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like, but he put that in a record in a very simple like 6 bar sequence that made sense.
Mm.
Like I'm not like what if I want to call somebody like what if Mandela would have went there that night? His friend might still be alive. You get what I'm saying? So it's
Mhm.
like that level of like you matter. He put it in 6 bars, and I was like, oh
Mm.
shit. So and I think that that's one of those things where like I was impressed by a peer who could like literally just do something that was that impactful.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so that's still a dope record. If you haven't heard it, anybody out there, definitely go check that record out. It's crazy. Um, Bury Me and Go Volume Two is amazing. Is just as good. It's better in different ways.
I agree. I mean,
But
you talking to the co-executive producer. Hey.
it's it's better in a
It's,
lot of ways. But it's still like that first record is pretty crazy.
yeah,
But
man. He's a monster and a great, a dope artist, and like an artist that I don't want to say it's rare, but it's astounding how fluently he translates who he is onto a record. You know what I mean? I never
it's
hear a record
easy.
of his and hear a different guy. You know. Um,
Even if the sound is different, right? That's great. That's
mhm.
how it's hard to do. I'm the
Mhm.
opposite. I'm more of a chameleon. You'll get different facets of me because I have so much. different types of
Mm-hmm.
like most of the time people think like yo Terrell is this super like just stagnant monotone dude, and then some people will get like the moments of joy and the hilariousness, and when I'm in my group chats with my boys they get a different version of me. So there's like I feel like everybody has that, but I'm trying to be able to capture all of those moments but still be who I am. It's a very hard thing to do.
For sure.
Wait, hold on. Take a two-second
I'm
pause
I'm
for a
gonna
second.
I'm gonna okay. I'm gonna stop this broadcast and restart it. So you take your time. So I want to
All
do
right,
a part two. Okay.
all right, no problem. All right.
All right.